Hey everyone, delighted to have you here as always. So today's topic is going to be 3 key mistakes I made when I started out freelancing, which if I was to advise anyone starting out new themselves to make sure they avoid and improve upon these 3 key mistakes I made. So hang around for all 3. I'm going to explain what I did and what I would do now going forward, and as I say, advise to any others. So I'll give you some actionable steps you can take to prevent making these same mistakes. So the first one is going too wide in terms of my target audience. So what I mean by that is I had a specific skill that I was selling. In my case, I'm a digital marketer. So freelance digital marketing services, and I was focusing on the Google side of things, search marketing, SEO, PPC, Google Ads, okay? So I then started to market myself as a digital marketer in this space, and that's it. So when I was telling people, and often I've touched on this in other videos, so I'll link to it about how to win your first client, often that will come from your network, people you know. So initially you're just telling people you're going freelance, maybe you're posting it on your existing social media profiles, you're sharing that with your network, etc. But if you have a kind of broad, vague message about who you're working with, A, it's very difficult for those people to see if potentially they could work with you, or B, to refer you and recommend you as well, because I don't really know who to be telling. So I was just too wide. I said, I'm just going to go freelance digital marketing. Like, right, okay, but who do you work with? You know, is it SMEs? Is it startups, corporate businesses, certain sectors, you know, technology, retail, travel, hospitality? Are you working in the UK, in a specific city? So basically, I just had no idea about this. It was just too wide, and really weren't getting any traction in terms of people understanding exactly who I wanted to work with, and therefore, as I say, if they could choose to work with me or refer me. So I think this is a fine balance, and people talk about this and debate it around how targeted your niche should be when you're starting out. But I do think you should have a picture of who you think you can help best, and the best way to do that is to go back and think, well, who have you worked with before? Who have you made an impact for? Who have you got a track record with? So in your role as an employee, for example, at a company, what type of businesses were you working with there? What size? What location? And then if you can replicate that, or certainly build something similar to it. Maybe you liked a certain part of the clients you worked with at a previous business and you want to focus more in on them. That's what you can do, and then you go out and say, this is who I'm targeting. Over time, of course, you're going to refine that slightly. You might find that you get better traction in one target market that you've identified, or a particular size of company you're really doing well with, and you say, right, I'm going all in on that. But what you don't want to do is just have a complete blank canvas as I did. You do want to have a bit of a focus on an area you want to work with. The next one is about not marketing myself, and it ties into the first point really about knowing who my niche was, because it makes it very difficult to target and do any marketing if you don't know who your niche is and where you want to be working. The problem I made in terms of not marketing was I wasn't really doing anything proactively. So I'd win some new prospects or new clients off the back of referrals, my existing network, but then that will start to dry up over time. And if you don't invest the time marketing early on, because it's going to take some time for that to have an impact, you'll hit this cliff point where projects are coming to an end and you don't have any more referrals or recommendations. Your network's kind of giving you all it can, and you're there and you're like, wow, what am I going to do next? Whereas if you work on your marketing during that time frame, when you are busy, you have referrals, you're getting projects from your existing network, when that does quiet down, you have this marketing kind of like lead generating tools you've been working on, so that you're going to be getting in some of those inbound inquiries, and then you can continue to build and grow your freelance business on the back of that. So rather than being reactive with your marketing, as I was like, wow, I need to start pushing myself now, when things got a little bit quieter, you can actually be proactive about that, and that's really going to set you in some good stead to make sure you're building your freelance business and you have none of this kind of feast and famine situation. You have a continuous growth of new projects and high value inquiries coming in. And the final mistake I'm going to talk about today is not creating any processes or templates as I started my freelance business. Now, what you don't need to do is get all bogged down by saying you have to have all these beautiful processes and templates in place before you launch your freelance business. You definitely don't, and that will kind of prevent you from getting started and is just an excuse. However, the mistake I made was that when I was starting to work on client accounts, and I was naturally performing processes and creating reports and documents, is I wasn't spending any time and going back over them and documenting them and saying, right, these were the steps I was taking, put it into a project management tool, or even just literally writing them down, having them recorded somewhere. So every time I was repeating the same processes, but I was like having to remember, and maybe I would skip a step because I'd be like, oh, I can't remember what the next step is in the process, or talking about templates, I would literally have to create every report from scratch, and you realize it's just a waste of time. And actually, it's not even about, you're not losing anything from the client. The client's not losing anything by having templates. Well, it does mean you can spend more time on the value-adding part of the reports, the insights, the next steps, the recommendations, the learnings, rather than creating the kind of design and the boxes and the text and everything where it's going to go. So, as I say, you don't need this fleshed out perfectly when you start. It's good to have a bit of an idea, but when you start to do your first few projects and your first few client accounts, you're managing them, is that each time you sort of run through a process, document it. Each time you create a report or a document you're sending over to the client, save that as a template, and then you're going to make your life so much easier moving forward. The amount of hours I must have lost on this was ridiculous. So if you fix this one in and of itself, you're going to save so much more time, which you can then perhaps to tie this all in together, invest in your actual marketing activity and building your business as well. So there are 3 key mistakes I made when I started freelancing: going too wide, not marketing my business, and not creating any templates or processes. If you flip those on your head in your first 6 months as a freelancer, you're going to have a really, really much stronger, smoother start to your freelance business, which is going to set you up for success as you continue to grow. Thanks for watching as always. Please like the video, and I will see you on the next one.